We live.
Good evening. Thanks, Abisilo. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the collaborative webinar of the Power and Energy Sections chapters, which is the Energy Storage chapter and the Renewable Energy chapter. Thank you for joining us on this very cold evening, and I hope you all are warmed up and ready to get going. We have three phenomenal speakers on the platform today, and without further ado, I'll hand over to my vice chair of the energy storage chapter and the current chair of the renewable energy chapter, Dr. Tony Mondeo.
Thank you very much, Devaksha. And once more, let me take this opportunity to welcome everybody that has taken some time off to come and join us in this webinar, Small Scale Immediate Generation Application Platform. So just quickly, the way we are going to do this webinar, I'll just quickly introduce our moderator, which is Sechaba, and then after that, Sechaba will introduce our first speaker, and then after the first speaker, we'll go to the second speaker and the third one, and then towards the end, we want to open for a question and answer session so that people will be able to make comments, to ask, and then feel free to type your questions again in the chat box. We'll then take them, even if we don't manage to attend to all the questions in this meeting, but we promise you that we'll follow up and respond to all the questions and comments. So at this moment, I'm just going to quickly introduce you to Sechaba. Let me just confirm quickly. I don't see Sechaba here.
I'm here, Dr. Tony.
Yes. Thank you very much. I can see you now. So just quickly, Sechaba is going to be the moderator. So Sechaba Malahlea is a power system engineer and the technical lead of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers Renewable Energy Chapter. He has extensive experience in energy system modeling, planning, and infrastructure development, with a focus on integrating renewable energy and national and municipality grids. He has played a key role in advancing technical discourses within the engineering community and is passionate about sustainable energy access and innovation in South Africa's power sector. So please help me to welcome Sechaba as he is going to take us through. And after that, he will then lead the discussion through introducing the first speaker, and we'll take it from there. Without really wasting time, I know our time is very much constrained. 1 hour sometimes looks long, but once the deliberation starts, it's very much limited. Over to you, Sechaba. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. I'll make it quick as well. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar hosted by the SAIEE Renewable Energy chapter, as well as the Energy Storage chapter. And thanks for joining what promises to be valuable and timely discussion on SSEGs and the digital tools supporting its rollout and access in South Africa. So our main speaker this evening is Senawa Sekhalelana, a project manager at Sustainable Energy Africa, SAIEE. So Senawa specializes in power systems planning, municipal energy strategies, and regulatory frameworks for distributed energy resources. His work focuses on supporting municipalities with energy planning, procurement, embedded generation processes, cost of supply studies, and grid code compliance. Tonight he'll be presenting on the National SSEG application platform. So he'll walk us through how the platform improves application management, reduces registration times, and supports more data-driven planning. And tonight we also are pleased to be joined by Walter Madimela, from City of Tshwane, as well as Busiso Shabane from City Power, who will offer the reflections on the SSEG related work after the presentation. So all three speakers towards the end will then participate in the Q&A session at the end. And you can, like Dr. Tony said, please leave your questions in the chat as they come up, and we'll tackle them at the end in the dedicated Q&A section. So Senao, thank you for being with us, and over to you.
Thank you, and Malasia. This is Sinaus Galilana. It's a common mistake with the G. But thank you so much for this opportunity to come and share some of the work that we are busy with at Sustainable Energy Africa, of course, supported by various partners. So what I'm going to do is I'll just get straight to it. Let's see. So, Ntate Malahlea, please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Once again, good afternoon to everyone that has joined us today. I'm hoping that this session is quite useful because on a personal level, I've spent quite a lot of time on the small scale embedded generation application platform. Of course, I'm from Sustainable Energy Africa, but this is a SAIEE platform. We support them in its development. And of course, our partners and their logos, we see them up there. But in the introduction of the session, I think we've already laid out the groundwork. Why the small scale embedded generation application platform. And this slide speaks to our municipal embedded generation support program, where we've been assisting municipalities over the years, alongside even my fellow panelists, to develop SSEG processes. I think if you just see these infographics, you can see that since 2016, there's been an increase in the number of municipalities and the uptake of SSEG, which mainly has been driven by, of course, obvious factors, but even the introduction of such processes. This program also develops guide documents for municipal capacity building purposes on various topics, not limited to small scale, right? And then you see on the right here, one of our trainings with our partner municipalities, where we were training them on small scale embedded generation application processes, but of course on other topics within the renewable energy space. We've got 106 partner municipalities, meaning that we've got a WhatsApp group where all of these municipalities are represented, and on a continuous basis, we cross-pollinate on municipal renewable energy related topics. And then, of course, we participate at a national level. But what then this program prompted us to do, right? We then noticed that municipalities are facing a couple of challenges, right? Assessing applications of larger system sizes, so that's even outside of this platform. But they were seeing increased EG application volumes. They see this with a lack of municipal capacity. And then, of course, I think this is just common in all municipalities, lack of buy-in from superiors. But these 2 points really speak to why the platform came to life, that there was an increase in the application volumes. Then our idea was, then how do we best facilitate this? On the same token, we understand the realities of our municipalities and the lack of municipal capacity and staff. Then came the small-scale embedded energy generation application platform on the right. But if we just look back a bit, in our program where we started with a control document, right? So this is just a checklist where you check that I've assessed an application against the relevant criteria and standards. And then we moved to a control spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet at least now started to do some NRS calculations for municipalities, right? So which helped a lot, but now the volumes kept on increasing and increasing. And then we found ourselves where we are today, where we've developed the small scale and embedded energy generation application portal, where it is now fully online and fully automated for municipal officials. So why this EG platform? Over and above what I think has been we've spoken about in my introduction, we know that there's about 65% of systems that are unregistered. So so the reference here is Sustainable Energy Africa and the survey that they've recently undertaken. There's no readily accessible data to efficiently report on EG, right? Even at a national level. And then the data collection through then the platform then allows greater data collection of EG uptake in municipalities, which then informs national planning, which also accelerates the permitting process. So this is the obvious, this is sort of the obvious reasons why. But most recently, I've found a last reason, which I hadn't thought of initially, one of the customers in one of the municipalities that use the platform shared with me, which is the improvement of service delivery, because municipalities, their mandate is to service the public, and if you provide platforms or streamlined processes, right, where customers are able to send application, get responses as soon as possible, then essentially you get yourself a happy customer, right? And you've ticked the box of excellent service delivery. And then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, our colleague in the sector, Prof. Vali Padeachi, the MEU strategic advisor, shared an opinion document on how small-scale embedded generation should be handled at a distribution level, especially in municipalities. And one of the things he says there is that online portals streamline the registration processes, right? Improve application handling, facilitate COC submissions, thereby reducing administrative costs. So based on this slide, I think the value proposition for the platform is quite clear. All right, now as we move closer to the actual platform, so to date, right, I checked this yesterday, there's around 3,754 EG applications that have been processed on the platform, which represents a total of around 91.71 megawatts with 82.04 megawatts of storage. About 49 municipalities are accepting applications on this platform, with another 26 set up but not live. And we've got plans with our partners to target the municipalities with the highest energy, the highest energy consuming municipalities, right? So with the highest ESCOM bulk purchases, simply speaking. So we've got this statistics table on our platform, and this is sort of where the numbers are coming from, the numbers that I speak about in the text above. Then you realize that I didn't actually say 6,820. Why don't I say this? It's because this means that these are applications that have been submitted, right? But they still haven't gone through the process. So applications that are going through the process and applications that are yet to go through the process. So applications on the platform are around 6,800 or so. So now some living examples, right? So we've got 49 municipalities. So the performance on the platform varies, of course, but we've got some municipalities that we can bring to platforms such as these to share the progress there. So the first one is George Municipality, down along the, is it the Garden Route? And George Municipality has been with us since March 2023, even when we were piloting this platform. To date, they've processed around 26.83 megawatts on this platform, right? So this is, I just took a screen grab on the platform. So when you process an application, it gets a GIS coordinate, and each application becomes an actual point on the platform. So the platform has GIS functionality. Of course, you see a lot of 0 kVAs, right? So 0 kVAs just means that the customer is not exporting. So it's just an aesthetic thing. So the details, for example, for a 5 kVA, this particular customer would be 5 kVA, and then the export would be 0. Then it shows it's 0. But these would be all the systems that are currently at George Municipality. Let's move to a municipality closest to my fellow panelists, Ekurhuleni. Ekurhuleni to date have processed around 31.53 megawatts. And they recently joined, which was, we can say, a year ago. So these are all the applications, small-scale embedded generation applications in Ekurhuleni today at this particular moment. You can see, I think it's sort of quite clear what can happen if you start to use the platform over a short period of time. Getting closer to the platform itself. So what are some of the technicalities of the platform? I think members of this chapter and community will appreciate this. So the platform itself is not rocket science. It's built on the NRS specification, right? So how an application is assessed is based on the NRS 097 series. Of course, taking into account the relevant sense standards and NRS 048, occupational health and safety, also allows, well, not the platform, but the municipalities themselves. Some municipalities might allow PV accredited installers to sign off applications. So it allows for that. And of course, with NRS, some municipalities may deviate from the latest NRS, then it also allows for that. I highlight in red the SANS 10142-2, because of course, once that comes into effect, it will definitely be considered on the platform. So the platform itself, I can say that it is the NRS 097 series. So how does the platform look like? So the user interface of the platform sort of looks like this, right? It has to the left an applicant login and to the right a municipal login. So the applicant login, this is the side of the platform where applicants upload or send applications to municipalities that are using the platform. This side, this is where the municipal login, this is the side where the municipalities log in to process applications, right? So that separation of responsibilities is key. The municipality doesn't go to the applicant side doesn't go to the municipal side, right? And of course, if you look at the platform at a later stage, and want to find out more, you can click on the About, click on municipalities to find out the exact number of municipalities, click on the dashboard to see some of the stats I've recently shared. Frequently asked questions, you click there, most of your questions will be answered. So let's just zoom into the applicant log inside of the platform, right? So of course, an applicant registers on the platform, and then they log in. An application, the journey of the application would on a high level look like this, right? The applicant would first register and log in onto the platform. Then they would, to create a new application, they would then firstly need to choose the municipality they want to send the application to. Declare, of course, that it can be assessed within the NRS criteria. If it can't, then grid impact studies come into full effect. Of course, looks at the SSEG requirements for the municipalities, right? Which they will find on the platform, right? Whether some municipalities allow reverse feed, some municipalities don't, or whether some municipalities allow, for example, let's say up to 30 kVA, they might allow an industry accredited installer alongside a master or alongside an electrician to sign off those systems. Some municipalities allow professionally registered engineers and technologists across, right? And then we get to the application process. The application process really is just you give the municipality your site information, your customer and installer details. So for example, sometimes customers are represented by installers, right? Then you put those details there. The platform even has functionality now to upload a proxy letter where the customer gives proxy to the installer to represent the customer at the municipality. What is your existing connection? What are your system details? Adherence to the relevant regulations and standards, construction details. Has this system already been constructed, or when do you plan to do that? And then, of course, the declarations. So on the platform, that process I've just explained looks like this. Just look at the time. Looks like this. So the platform would have these different tabs, right? I've just opened System Details tab right now. This is where you put in your site information as a customer, your customer and installer details about your existing connection, and then this is where you put in your system details. Then you can see those would be the system details. And then if you click on inverters, the platform has a database of type-tested inverters. You can choose from one of those. If it's not on there, then the platform allows you to upload a certificate, an NRS certificate of that inverter. Export and storage, do you allow export and does the system have storage? You click there, you should see the various NRS checks there. Preliminary design details, this is a function to add a preliminary single line diagram, and then you do some estimated generation levels, right? And so on. So the application process would sort of be from left to right. So let's move to the municipal login side. So a municipality would log in on this side. This is how the application process. So now they've received the application from the customer. Now the municipality wants to assess this application. So they log into the platform. I, as the platform administrator or the product owner, I have to set up the municipality on the platform, right? And its municipal users. Then I set up a municipal administrator, the individual that is responsible for the platform in that particular municipality, right? Once those individuals that can process applications have been set up, then they can start to process the application. So how does an application process go? They do an initial assessment, do an initial review. Initial review is Are you less than a megawatt? Are you less than a megawatt? Are you connected to the low voltage? So that's an initial review. So if you fall within that band, okay, we can apply NRS criteria. Then we look at the system size, voltage rise, depending on whether you're on a shared or dedicated feeder. We look at the export and storage, transformer checks, peak load. Then we make a decision, right? So at the decision stage, the platform also will propose a decision, will do an auto assessment based on the parameters that you provide, right? You can move forward with that decision or you can deviate from it. And then, of course, allows supporting documentation. Then you grant what we call a permission to install. After permission to install, we move on to commissioning. The private party would then go and build a system. Before they integrate to the distribution grid, they would then have to complete a commissioning report, and then the municipality would check all the compulsory declarations, testing, and sign off on that report, right? So all of that is handled on the platform, except of course, colleagues, for the testing. The platform can't go to site. And then we get to generation. Before you allow generation, you ensure that the correct metering is in place. The platform can handle meter quotations and the changing of meters to bidirectional. Ensure relevant tariffs are allocated. Some units adhere to the net billing rules, have net billing tariffs, so then you assign a tariff to this customer. Then you grant permission to generate. So that's how the process would normally go. So on the platform, it would look like this, right? So this is where you start, remember, left to right. So initial review, system size, look at the voltage rise, and then export and storage, right? Let's just use export and storage as an example. So what the value add of the platform is, the platform is built on the NRS. So it will know that, for example, for a dedicated feeder, the allowable max export capacity as a percentage of NMD is 75%, for example. And then when it assesses this application with a maximum export of 4 kVA, right? And then NMD of 4.6 kVA, already that's a violation of this 75. It will do a calculation for you, and then it's going to tell you it's 86.96, which is a violation. It's above 75%. Then it's going to give you this red text that the maximum export capacity is more than 75%. And then it's going to, in orange, propose ways in which we can make this application compliant, right? So that's even before you request a grid impact study, right? Is to say, okay, you violated the NRS. What can you do, right? You can possibly reduce your maximum export capacity, right, to 3.45 kVA, so you are compliant. Increase the NMD of the connection, but of course, increased supply charges may apply. Or in some cases, change your connection from single phase to 3-phase. So that would be the municipal side of the platform. So what are some nice, cool features? So these are examples, right? So these are just random examples. So for example, the platform auto-generates letters, right? So you need a permission to install, permission to generate. It auto-generates letters. It even has functionality to customize for each municipality. Emails, right? Every time you receive an application, auto-generates emails, both to the customer and the municipality. Even, not even, at each application stage, as the application moves through each stage, it then notifies the relevant parties. It even notifies the parties of delays. For example, it may say that please expect a response after 4 weeks or so. And of course, it has indicators, it has a dashboard where you can track your performance, even indicators, for example, where you can see the number of applications awaiting attention. 16, how many of those are awaiting attention for more than 4 weeks, for example. Amongst other cool features, if you go onto the platform and you go on to frequently asked questions, you'll see a lot more cool features. So as I finalize, so the hosting and backup of the platform, of course, is hosted by a trusted and reliable host, ex nihilo. Of course, data centers and yeah, data centers are a different, an interesting topic. Maybe it's a different can of worms. Let's not get there. Of course, it has a dedicated, a dedicated managed server. Also, it's open source, so we use open source software stack. Then it's ex nihilo, the data center, then hosted also on Blue Sky on the cloud, and then internally to the municipalities, all the data on the platform you can download, right? For example, let's say you want to use the systems on the GIS, right? You want to go and create a shape file for a geospatial planning exercise that you want to do. You can just extract that CSV, create your shape files, and do what you need to do. Security, very secure, HTTPS, unique username, strong passwords, two-factor authentication, etc. Quite standard. So this is my final slide. So the question is then, if now your platform is that great, why aren't you using it? Why aren't all municipalities using it, right? So some might not be aware of it. Some might not have even SSEG processes in place. Some are happy with existing processes. Some plan to develop their own systems. Some are unable to use the platform and require training. So sometimes municipalities, even when they are on the platform, we have to do continuous training so that they are comfortable with this new tool. Data security concerns sometimes it's just a shortage of staff. So that's my final slide. And I think as we move to my fellow presenters, this small picture here is quite applicable to them. Let me stop there, colleagues.
Thanks, Now. I think that's a lovely illustration of what's happening currently in industry. That was a very informative presentation. There have been requests for the presentation. I'm sure you'll be able to share that with us.
Yes, sure, I should be able to.
Fantastic. The questions are racking up. So now you can actually have a look at the chat in the meantime while the next speaker comes online. So our next speaker is Walter Malimela, who is from City of Tshwane. And I think we all have a lot of questions for City of Tshwane because they are one of the municipalities that's currently not using the portal. So I would like to welcome him. He will do an introduction and he doesn't have a presentation, so he'll just run us through the processes via conversation, and let's just keep the chat open. And yeah, and let's just make sure that we can support him through this. Walter, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
All right. No, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah, we love to talk about things like this. And yeah, I believe this is a learning exchange space. And thank you to Sanao for a very, very, excellent presentation. Yeah. And for the support that you are offering to give to the municipalities. Yeah, look, my name is Walter Malimela. Nothing has changed. I'm still Master Walter Malimela. I work for City of Tshwane as an engineer technician. So yeah, our role is to, give access to people who want to be embedded into our grid. But then we do so by ensuring the safety operation of our network. So yeah.
Let me finish this. I'm in class. Finish at 7.
Yeah. So unfortunately, City of Tshwane is not in the platform yet. We require that the client send an email to our SSEG email. There's an SSEG email. that we have within the city. So we require that the client send an email to the SSEG, and then following that, they must hand deliver the application forms into our offices that are going to be received by our admin officers, and then they generate a acknowledgement of receipt and create a reference number so that the client can use when they are making follow-ups. So yeah, I think I will. I know there are a lot of questions, for Sitho Tshwane. I think I will just pause here now, and then I will just deal with the questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Walter. We did have another presenter who has tendered his apologies. This was Sibusiso Shabane from City Power, who is going to join us, but he's unable to. We will get him onto another platform coming up. We do plan on having follow-up sessions to this because it's a topic that's ongoing. You can see by the chat that there's lots of queries around this. So I think, Dr. Tony, let's just move on to the Q&A. Sechaba, if you want to assist me, we can start with that side of the session as well. You are also welcome to raise your hand and unmute, and we'll give you the opportunity to ask your question live. So I've tackled the one about the presentation. We will get Sinao's presentation shared. William Stuck has shared the SSEG portal link for anyone that wants to have a look at it. A question from Karel Rautenbach. I think this will be posed at you now. Will you be adding a third login option for the person signing off systems, example, the XR registered professional? Currently, the method of doing this does not separate the applicant from the engineer, leaving the system open for gross misuse. That question was also repeated by Lee Lawrence.
It's my favorite question. So I've provided an answer on the chat. Let me go to it so that I'm consistent. So yes, that's definitely the plan. However, colleagues, the development of this platform is dependent on available funding, right? We definitely understand that the safe usage of information on the platform is critical. And with our developers, we've been talking about this for a while, and adding a third login option in the short term has proven to be quite expensive, which has been outside the funding that we've had available. But an interim measure that we've recently launched. So we'll be launching a new version, an updated version of the platform next week, Monday. So in that version, every time a signatory's details are used, they will be notified, right, via email or SMS or whatever the case may be. So this interim measure, of course, is to deal with that in particular. But of course, into the future, we need to be more strict when it comes to the security on the platform and the usage of information on the platform. So it's always been part of what we've always wanted.
If I can add to that question, then what is the type of cost that we're looking at here? Because this, to me, is as the professional engineer who's got an email randomly. Luckily, it was a client that used my email address, but you can put a different email address in there, and I will not be notified. And my XR registration number and potentially my ID could be used, identification fraud. So what is the type of development funding that's required? Because from my side, I will lobby XR as well as SAIEE to assist here, because this is definitely something that will risk the engineering fraternity, in my opinion.
Yes. Carol, so this platform has been funded by GIZ over the
Yeah.
past couple of years, right, through our SAIEE program, which is unfortunately coming to an end soon until we get another one into the next year. So we need some funding, and then to quantify that, I think we can discuss that, Carol, because I definitely think that would be a feature that is extremely useful and should be on top of our list. Listen, we've definitely thought about this, and if there's ways through whatever channel where we can get some additional funding to improve that security, we're more than happy to have that discussion and get it done.
I'll be in touch.
Yes, we'll get it done.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Carol. I've also had my details used in the similar manner. So that was a question from me as well. Thanks.
Ooh.
Now we will
Need to
speak
sort that out.
offline. Yeah, we'll speak offline about the funding options and seeing how we can lobby our respective organizations to work towards a better, more streamlined platform. I'm going to allow William Stuck the opportunity to go live on his question. William, if you can unmute and possible camera on. Thank you.
Navashka. I'm William Stuckey, rhymes with lucky.
I'll remember that.
Just so you know, and other things, but we won't go there. Okay, so you answered one of my questions about how the SSEG.org is funded, and thank you for that. So my question, I have several questions and a comment. Actually, no, a statement. First of all, why are people like Schwani and Joburg not on your system? Secondly, why isn't Eskom on your system? Why is it only municipalities? And then thirdly, what is the point of registering, or what is the purpose of registration? And never mind the fact that there's an ERA that says you must. The question is why? What is the background for it? And then the comment is, Schwani, you are wrong. Please read section 12 of the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act, Act number 25 of 2002. You are not allowed to ask for anything in paper. I'll read it to you. A requirement in law that a document or information must be in writing is met if the document or information is A, in the form of a data message, and B, accessible in a manner usable for subsequent reference. Your requirement for handing in documents is not legal.
Okay, so now I'll give you the opportunity to answer William's first questions, and then Walter, maybe you can come in on the latter of those questions if possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Williams Stuckey, rhymes with lucky. Thank you so much for that question. I want to say before I answer your question, this is exactly why I'm having this presentation on this particular forum, is for these particular questions, because as a product owner, you don't want to develop systems, firstly, that don't solve real problems. And also, you don't want to have blind spots of what potentially you could be missing, right? So I just want to say I appreciate that question. Why is not City of Tshwane and City Power not on the platform? I unfortunately can't speak on their behalf. Thank you, they are here to answer for themselves. And why is Eskom not on the platform? I was under the assumption maybe Eskom would have their own platform. I also can't speak on their behalf. Whether they are not on this, the question is not really, I'm not really lobbying them to be part of the platform. It's a matter of having a process, right, that is great for your customers, right? It's whether you use my platform or you develop your own, neither here nor there, right? So I'll leave those questions to them, but let me give my assessment of why you should register, right? So let's start with let us say my house, right? I decide tomorrow that, okay, I want to install solar PV, embedded generation, right? This solar PV, I want it to synchronize to the distribution grid, meaning that it must only work when the grid is on and it must form part of the distribution grid, right? So then if I want to do that, I need to adhere firstly to the grid code. Why do I need to adhere to the grid code? If my PV system, for example, through an inverter, as it synchronizes to this grid, if it causes, simply speaking, network issues around voltage, around harmonics, around, let us say, maybe fault currents, what is the impact is not just for me. The impact then is for everyone else that is using that grid, right? So it's just to make sure that, of course, we have free access to the grid, not free, but non-discriminatory is the word. But also we have the responsibility that when we connect to the grid, we make sure that the grid stays going, stays on, and everyone else's appliances are not messed up. So each and every one of us have that responsibility. Yes, we must be allowed, of course, to install our solar PV. Right. So that's the first part of the question. Answer. The second part, right. So when you commission a solar PV system, right, there's what we call anti-islanding. Right. So you need to test a PV system that every time the grid is off, it does not remain energized. If it remains energized, I can have a blind spot as a municipal person and say, all right, I'm working on a feeder, doing maintenance, for example. I'm doing maintenance on a feeder. I've de-energized on my side. I'm thinking this feeder is on. But if I've got customers on this grid, right, who I have not tested through my processes to make sure that they have an anti-islanding functionality. One moment I'm touching that cable, and then I'll get an electrical shock because I haven't tested. So then the processes and registrations is to make sure that all of us on the grid take care of each other. And secondly, the grid is safe for all of us. Yes, we must get access to the grid in a non-discriminatory manner, but we have the responsibility to take care of each other. That is my explanation for now. Let me leave it there.
Thank you. No, that's a perfectly reasonable explanation, but I'm sorry, I should have been clearer. If you are not exporting the grid, why do you need to register? That's really the point. Obviously, yes. If you're exporting the grid, then you must register because you have to comply with the appropriate requirements.
Yes. Of course, that is on a municipal by municipal. It's on a municipal by municipal case, but zero export. So let me go back to the grid code, right? Because I don't make the rules, I just apply the rules. Mm. So if you look at the code that I am governed by, right? It does not give me guidance on how to respond to your question at this particular moment, right? It doesn't give me that guidance, right? Okay. But it gives me the guidance that as long as you are grid tied, right? As long as you are grid tied, you must follow grid tied rules. Absolutely. And one of those rules, yes.
Okay, two final comments. Firstly, thank you very much for this initiative, and all strength to your elbow to have your organization continue doing this good work, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Starkey. Rhymes with lucky.
Okay, Walter, would you like to answer that last question?
All right. No, thanks, Mr. Lucky, for that question. Yeah, I think on the question of why does the client has to apply, I think Sinao has summed it very well. I don't have to hinge on that. why is the city of Tshwane not in the platform? Yeah, no, I must say that Sustainable Energy Africa have actually offered themselves, and we are in a talks with Sustainable Energy Africa in terms of, cyber securities and all of those things, because look, there are interdependencies in the municipalities. So if you want to go into an online platform as such, so it triggers another system again to get our ICT department into play, to make sure that everything is fine in terms of data. And then we were also thinking ahead in terms of what happens now when we are no longer brothers with perhaps Exnelo or Sustainable Energy Africa for that matter, because there will be a lot of data that get lost. So we are trying to having a conversation to solve those low-hanging fruit, because before we can perhaps adopt these platforms. But yeah, we see it as a future to make a process safer, faster, and smarter. So I think there is an appetite from the city to go online route, because I mean, as you can tell, with the influx of applications that we are receiving, hard copies cannot do anymore. Where I'm sitting with a lot of files, and it's quite daunting. So I hope I've covered it well. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Walter. So we have two questions in the chat from Ryan to Sunawo. It's, what about systems which have already been built but not declared yet? The second question is, how do end users who live in complexes and the municipal account is at a bulk meter and the end user is not a municipal direct customer proceed? How do they proceed?
Let me answer that question. Let me answer both of those questions. Of course, colleagues, my presentation is on the platform itself, right? How it assists municipalities to facilitate the registration process. Right? So let me start there. So a municipality then will make a decision, right, on how to deal with systems that have been built but not declared yet, right? So I would say that if a system is built but it's not declared, it must be declared. It must go through the municipal processes, right? So a municipality will have its own approach on how to deal with systems that are not declared. Of course, there would be systems that are not declared that are not compliant, right? Systems that are declared that are not compliant to the municipal process. So each individual municipality will then have a way on how to deal with that. Some municipalities may say that, so for example, let me make an example. Let's say you have a system, it's not declared, right? So it must go through the process. Let's say it's a municipality on the platform. Then you will go to the platform and complete an application so that it's processed. But if it's non-compliant, the platform is going to say it's non-compliant. But then it's the municipality's final decision to say, or to say that, okay, because this particular system, for example, was installed before we had rules, let's say before we had rules, we can then give them leeway, and accept, for example, let's say, okay, let us accept it because it was installed, I don't know, at what time. So it must go through the process, but it rests with the municipality to decide whether they approve if it's non-compliant. Second question, that's another municipal question. But let me just talk about the platform. So what we've realized on the platform, firstly, is exactly that Sometimes a customer has a bulk point with the municipality with lots of customers within its own internal reticulation, right? So then the municipality then must decide to say, how does it process each individual application within or in a network that is in a private network? Let me call it a private network because the municipal powers end at that bulk purchase point. So if the municipality applies the normal process even beyond that point, then the municipality can decide to use the platform for customers that are beyond bulk purchase points. That's still a municipal decision. The platform can accommodate that, right? Also, there's another one. So there are distributors in South Africa that are not public. So I had a discussion with another one just yesterday, where they also have a bulk purchase point with the municipality, but they independently run their distribution grid, right? So the platform also can accommodate those types of distribution networks. So the platform is very flexible. Of course, I didn't get time to get into the platform, but it's very flexible. But it's a tool for a municipality. It's the municipality that makes the decision. I'll stop there.
Okay, thanks now. So to Walter, there are a few questions in the chat about slow response times from City of Tshwane and what's the best way to get assistance on this. There's comments that it can take up to 6 months to take a response to get a response. Can you please address those, the slow response time from City of Tshwane?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I think let me start with the because this is I think this is you know, per case in terms of the municipalities, in terms of the question that was asked, undeclared systems and the bulk metering. So in the City of Tshwane context, so if you are for an example, if you are in a complex, and then obviously you are receiving electricity through bulk metering. So in that case, in terms of electricity account, we've got a electricity account with the body corporate. So the application need to come through body corporate. So yeah, so in terms of undeclared systems, yeah, even in City of Tshwane context, the undeclared systems need to comply. It's like when you are driving without a driver's license, I usually make a example like that.
Irrelevant.
Sorry?
That's an inappropriate analogy. It's irrelevant.
Let me understand you, sir.
I think, William, if you can just unmute and just provide context to your comment. Otherwise,
Okay,
I'm going to ask Walter to continue because we are at the last minute of our session.
Okay. Walter, you said you made an analogy between driving without a driving license, where you are endangering everyone, including yourself on the roads, and having an unregistered undeclared system, undeclared SSEG system. That is not an appropriate analogy. Okay.
All right. Maybe if you can allow me to finish, sir.
Okay, thank you. But please
Yeah,
don't try and bamboozle us.
Yeah, I think let's have a respectful engagement. Yeah. So yeah, as I was making an example, so so what I'm trying to say is you will still have to register, and then we'll take you through the process. So then if it appears that you are not, you know, your system is not within, is not in line with our requirements, we will then ask, maybe in terms of your system is oversized, we'll ask you to reduce the size, or if perhaps the inverter that that was used is not NRS compliant, we'll ask you to perhaps, unfortunately, get an inverter that is compliant. So in terms of the response time within the city, yeah, I think I have noticed that, and yeah, it is quite, you know, frustrating for clients, and I concur with that. I think there is a problem from the city side in terms of personnel that are dealing with this. I mean, we are a big city working with a lot of clients, so we sometimes do our best. So my email is flooded all the time. Sometimes it's possible that you might even miss some emails. So I think a platform such as this one might be of assistance according to my knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Unfortunately, colleagues, we are completely out of time. Thank you for the engagement. We'll make sure our speakers address all the questions you've left behind. For closing remarks, then I'll hand it back over to Dr. Tony.
You haven't unmuted Dr. Tony.
Oh, my apologies, my apologies. So I was just saying thank you very much to everybody that has attended, and my sincerest apologies, especially for not covering all the questions. It's quite disheartening to see that we could not reach even to people that had raised their hands to contribute. But what I want to suggest is please capture your comments, your questions in the chat box. We'll try by all means to see how we can attend to them. And also, based on the engagements and what is happening here, my conclusion is that we definitely need to have a follow-up discussion. We will sit around the table and see how we can come back and convene and make another platform for people to engage. I think this is quite a hot topic. There's lots of frustrations, as I can see and hear, on the part of the customers, and also on the municipalities. We need to find a way that works. And also, let's benchmark. I think we have got the opportunity of different municipalities in the different provinces. There are different platforms that they are using. Let's benchmark and come up with the best sort of platform that is easier to use, that talks to the customers and everybody. But for the sake of time, let me take this time to thank you, everybody, and then to just say goodbye. We'll take care of all the proceedings and see, as I have promised, we'll try to come back and organize something else. I see someone's hand is flashing. Walter, do you want to say one thing? Maybe I'll give you 1 minute.
No. I'm covered, sir. Thanks. It's
All
not
right.
myself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. So you are free. The meeting has come to an end. Let's adjourn. Thank you very much. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody say how's it? social.
Good night, everybody.